The weather outside reminds me a lot of this really bad ice storm that happened when I was a kid. Everything was shut down. It was a frozen wasteland. There was no power, nothing to really do besides sleep. A lot of that weather reminds me of this book, Ice by Anna Kavan. The book was published in the 60s and is a post-nuclear war world where the war caused this massive ice shelf to engulf the entire Earth. A new ice age is coming. The story takes place during this ice shelf encapsulating the world, like closing in on it, like a tsunami that covers the entire Earth, I guess. And this new ice age will kill off all humans, animals, plants, basically all life on Earth. The story follows a male protagonist who is pursuing this woman who is super albino. She's called the Glass Girl, but he runs into challenges of not knowing where she is, or whenever he finds her, she's being held captive by this character called the Warden. The Warden is basically this mob boss king of the town during the apocalypse. The author of the novel, Anna Kavan, was known for putting herself into her stories. Her story, Let Me Alone and Who Are You, are basically autobiographies. She lived a very tough life. Her father committed suicide when she was 10 years old. She got married at a very young age and had a son. She divorced the father, and years later she would remarry. And with her new husband, she would have a daughter who passed away shortly after childbirth. They would adopt a girl, but their relationship would end shortly after this. Between her two marriages, she would become addicted to heroin after hanging out with these race car drivers. After her second marriage ended, she attempted suicide and was sent to a clinic in Switzerland. From then on, she was basically in and out of hospitals and asylums throughout her life. She was severely depressed and had a lifelong heroin addiction. In the story, there's so many ways to put Anna into the story. You can see the main protagonist as her, and the chase for this woman is her trying to break her addiction or depression, but the Warden is heroin keeping her from happiness. Or you can read it from the perspective of the woman trapped by the Warden. The Warden's keeping her in this awful state. The ice is coming, which could be her death or slipping into a point of no recovery. The story is very claustrophobic. This may be an unrelatable comparison, but the book feels a lot like an Alfred Hitchcock movie in the sense of this claustrophobia. It feels a lot like the movie Rope or Rear Window with this claustrophobia. A lot of Hitchcock movies are very claustrophobic. It also feels a lot like this short story I read in high school called The Yellow Wallpaper, which I believe is a pretty famous short story about this girl, this dystopian future that's trapped in this room with nothing to entertain herself. She's trapped and she starts seeing the yellow wallpaper start moving. She trips out and she's very delusional. It reminds me a lot of that, the claustrophobia aspects of it, and also the delusions of the character. The Glass Girl is trapped by the Warden. At the same time, the main protagonist is trapped in this world trying to find a girl, but the ice is closing in on him. He doesn't have much time to get her. The main character is very delusional in the book. At one point, the village folk outside the town the Warden controls kidnaps the girl and sacrifices her to a dragon, or at least attempts to. At one point, these alien lemurs who talk about the end of the world offer the main character an escape from the planet. The book is so hard to describe the feeling of reading it. The characters are nameless. The plot is so strange. It's very unrealistic. It feels so dreamlike in the way the story goes on to these weird tangents. The book is kind of hard to read. I found myself rereading pages because the way the book transitions from scene to scene, sometimes unnoticeable. I get lost and the words have to go back to wonder how we got here. The book is so cryptic, it feels hallucinogenic. It's a truly unique read. The novel is considered under the slipstream genre, or fiction that crosses conventional genre boundaries between science fiction, fantasy, and literary fiction. This genre fits a movie that came out on Netflix last year called I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which is an adaptation of this book by Ian Reid. And in the movie adaptation, they actually mention the Ice novel in it.
Have you read the novel Ice?
I don't think so.
By Anna Kavan?
I don't think so.
1967. It's a fable of sorts about...
So let's just get the ice cream and go. It's
Wait a
freezing.
minute, I just want to see...